Greetings, my fellow degenerates. My name is Rot, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hi, hello, howdy-o, nice to have you here today. Today, I'm going to be talking about a long-awaited subject, looking through my cursed old art, Part 3, my old digital art. If you haven't seen my first two videos on my old art, the traditional art one and the later one about my weird comic, then you totally should go watch them because they are 100% required material to understand what's going on in this video. I'm joking, but if you do end up liking this video, then I would definitely recommend those ones as well. Especially since the art is older and probably more cursed, sort of. Growing up, I was a traditional artist until December of 2020. At that point, I was falling out of love with drawing and making art in general, so I decided to purchase a drawing tablet to see if digital art would kind of reignite my passion. And well, it did. I'm much more interested in and happy to make art now than I was. If you've seen some of my old videos, most notably my imposter syndrome video, then you probably know that I have felt really self-conscious and displeased with my art in the past, but nowadays I am relatively pleased and confident in my work, for the most part anyway. Of course, transitioning into a new medium of art after doing traditional for so many years yielded some, not so savory results at first. There were definitely some hiccups between December 2020 and today, and this video is just gonna be full of those hiccups, and we're gonna laugh at them and make light of them, you know? Sort of measuring how far I've come, in a way. So, regarding my first video in particular about looking through my old art, a lot of people left comments along the line of, "This made me feel bad," or "Even your old art is better than mine currently," and other such statements. I want to assure everyone that these videos aren't about putting anyone else down but my old self. I am using hyperbolic, mean comedy and roasting my past self for the sake of providing some more entertainment value. I am not making any statements about anyone else's work but my own, because I'm not in the business of putting others down, nor do I like it when other people bash young artists, like publicly on a massive scale. So yeah, I just wanted to make that pretty clear to everyone. I support you all in your own artistic journeys. And, you know, if this video is gonna make you feel bad about your own work and skill level, and me roasting my past self is gonna strike a chord with you, then maybe not watching this video would be the best thing that you could do. With that being said, sit back, relax, and let's cringe at some cursed old digital art together. When I first got my drawing tablet, I went kinda crazy with the whole redrawing thing. I would take some traditional art that I had already made prior and recreate it using a digital medium. So yeah, the first few images I will be sharing here are all the same picture, except two of them are redrawn. So the original one here, a drawing of Nora from Noragami, was drawn in like early 2020, I believe, sometime around in March or April. As you can see, there are several glaring mistakes. The hand pose is stiff, her shoulders are not even and are both too high, her eyes are too high and too small, her nose and her mouth are also too small and are just suffering due to the eye placement, and the shading and the line work are both messy and boring. Overall, it's not the worst thing I've ever drawn, far from it, but it could use some work to say the very least about it. And I guess because I thought it could use some work, it was the first thing that I ever drew, or rather redrew, after I got my drawing tablet in December of 2020. And, dear God, it is even worse than the first attempt! The lines here are so unbearably thick, which can be nice in some art styles, but not in mine, it doesn't look right. And that's not even touching on how fucking messy the lines are. Like, bro, you could tell I was unable to comprehend the use of a line stabilizer and could also not fathom tapered brushes. Like, dear God. Also, to add insult to injury, it's not even centered on the canvas and cuts off at the edge slightly. Gross! Luckily, about a year later, in November of 2021, I decided that the redraw was too stim-key to be the final version of that image, and I redrew it again. At the time, I was really proud of it, but as another couple of years have passed since this was made, I do recognize a lot of problems with it. First of all, it still has the issue of her shoulders being too wide and too high, her neck is too skinny, her jawline is too sharp, her eyes are too big and not level. And this is more of a personal nitpick now that my style has changed and evolved, but the lines are not colored and the shading is poor and not how I currently shade. There are more notes to make on it, but I don't want to be here for too long. Maybe because I have so many current criticisms of it, I should redraw it. Third redraw, guys. Let me know in the comments if you think it would be kind of a funny meme for me to draw this as a third time. You know, let me know. Oh boy, here's one of Himiko Toga. Ironically, I don't like BNHA, but I do kind of like this drawing. At least in theory. Like, the actual anatomy and composition is completely average here, but oh dear god, the line work and the shading. You can still so tell that I still had like no idea what in God's name I was doing. I couldn't even be arsed to erase my lines when they overlap. Sin! You can also super tell that this was before I got my own unique face and eye style, because all of my faces were still super anime-ish, except, you know, bad. And now, ladies, gents, and everything in between and outside, I subject you to my terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, old, has-been hotel, and hell of a boss art. Even though now I am a certified has-been and hell of a disenjoyer, and my fixation on these things makes me want to perish. Suffer with me. Okay, so first up here, we're starting with Alistair, and all I have to say about this is, okay, well actually, I do have more to say about it than just that. Ew! Don't come for me over this, but Alistair was definitely my favorite has-been character besides Vox and Valentino at the time when I was a kid, and so I'm very salty that I did him so dirty here. His fingers, though. The line work, though. The shading, though. Everything just worked together to create a black hole of suck. So sorry to all of you gamers who had to see this monstrosity. Next we have FireAlpaca. This art being yet another one that I hate. Her hair sucks, the shading sucks, the line work sucks, the anatomy is horrific, and the background is also kind of booty, not gonna lie. No idea why this one got so many likes on DeviantArt, but the fact that it did made me take it down a while back. Maybe everyone is just simping for FireAlpaca, and that's why it got so many likes, I don't know. The last HHHB artwork that I will be showing you for right now, I guess, is this one here of Luna, which is also kind of ugh. It's definitely not as bad as the previous two, but like, look at her middle, where her organs go. What the fuck? I don't mind the spray painted pentagram. Well, actually, it's right side up, so I think a pentacle in the background. It's just overall horribly mid, honestly. You know, just really mid. I just don't like it. It's just bad. Now this is an embarrassing one. Melanie Martinez is one of my favorite musicians and artists, and here I was doing her so damn dirty, like, bro. I love her outfit in the bakery, but the anatomy here is shameful, and like, goddamn, the line work could be less choppy and the pose could be less static, like, why? Maybe I'll redraw her in this fit or make some Portals fan art at some point to atone for the sin against the sanctity of Melanie. And here we've got some My Little Ponies. All jokes aside, I think Rarity looks adorable here, and I love her. She was always my favorite of them, besides Applejack. Overall, though, the line work quality and the stinky, low-effort backgrounds are really devaluing the entire quality of how cute the headshots could have been, and I'm shaking and crying about it because it could have been great! It could have been great! And this one is a self-portrait of me when I was gross and cis. Something interesting to note about me is that I rarely ever draw myself. Like, I know this is kind of random, but like, I've seen other people do sketchbook tours and old art videos, and they always have like a fuck ton of art of themselves, but this drawing here is one of the only self-portraits I've ever made. Nowadays, I draw myself a mite bit more, but still not that often. With that being said, the sketch of this in my notebook was cute, but here as it is, it kinda sucks. Except the coffee elements. Still love coffee, all my homies love coffee. Alright boys, now we get into the Abaddon stuff. If you haven't heard me discuss it before, which is likely if you don't watch too many of my videos, let me explain. Abaddon was a pretty bad story I made up with a universe of characters when I was around 14. Though characters and ideas existed for years, I started actually developing it when I was 16, but I've since abandoned the project about a year ago. The whole thing was planned to be a comic, but after my ex-girlfriend barreled in and started trying to force her headcanons and ideas into the story, I really kind of just fell out of love with it and have since gotten rid of the characters. And I've also sold many of them as adoptables. So now you're gonna see a lot of images of these characters, and I'm sorry for that because they suck. Abora and Xibalba. Classics. It's kind of weird looking back on this because I've since redesigned both of these characters and have sold them to some buyers. Also, yes, this was Abora pre-first redesign, and yes, her outfit was so bad. Like, bro, what the fuck is that thing? Literally sharding and crying right now. Here we have an image of Catherine, who was, as you can probably gather, a yandere murder lady. I like the idea here, but the execution hella leaves something to be desired. I also have no idea why I wrote Suki, or I like you, repeatedly in Japanese when this character is pasty white and a redhead and not Japanese. Okay, past me, okay. Oh boys, you're in for a real treat. So the next thing I'm going to discuss is a short mini-comic that I made a few years ago featuring my characters. It's so bad, and the characters are constantly drawn off model repeatedly. So we're gonna have a good laugh about how all this sucks very bad. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it would take forever and I don't want to voice the onomatopoeia. But I'm just gonna, flash each of the pages up on the screen so you can read it if you want. Sorry in advance to your eyes and your brains. That was awful. Ugh. Now, this is Rosé from the How You Like That music video. The whole thing is, like, really mid, and I could do a much better job drawing her in current day. Like, goddamn. I wish a hefty sorry to every Blackpink fan in my audience. I also have no idea why I decided to put her hands, like, in front of her face, like, specifically her left, viewer right. Like, why would I do that? Like, come on, I could have moved it down a little bit and it would have looked so much better. Okay, so this was my first ever drawing of Miku in digital, and I really tried to draw her, like, in my style at the time. I think it came out, like, pretty well, especially, like, shading and lighting wise. It's not perfect, but, I see some potential here. Though I actually don't like the styling that I was going for, and her hand being as clenched as it is weird. Like, I was trying to communicate a looser, more curious, like, kind of grip, like, something cute, but, like, she looks like she's, like, making a very aggressive fist. I don't know how I feel about that. Magica and Poe! This one is still old, so I don't stand by it, but I love these two, and I love DuckTales 2017, until season 3. But it makes up for it by just being a picture of Magica and Poe. It makes up for how bad it is. I actually kind of like the background, though, surprisingly. I don't know why I like it. It just speaks to me. Oh, okay, so this was a piece of child Rion and his mother Vortesha. I actually still stand by this one in terms of quality, and especially composition. I would obviously make some changes now, but I think that for the time it was legendary for my past skill level, like, bruh. Vortesha is proper menacing in this picture as intended, and I actually drew a background, which is a once-in-a-blue-moon occurrence, truly. Bro, now that I think about it, what is up with me and making, like, little blonde boy self-inserts that have mums that mistreat them? Like, what is up with that? Ah, yes, Rena! I should so redraw her, because I love this girl. Rena best girl. We stan. Gushing about Higurashi aside, I actually really like the colors in this piece, especially in the background. It really looks like the junkyard in the anime vibe-wise. My biggest issue truly is probably like the shading and the anatomy, which both need some work, but otherwise, I kinda like this one. I think I'm gonna have to stan this one. Okay, so this was a later picture of Alistair I drew, and I actually kind of stand by this one. It needs some better line work, and the pose needs fixing, but it's cool, so I give Child Me a W for this one. I actually drew it on my 17th birthday, fun fact. Oh ho ho. The first time I ever attempted to sort of mimic Dramalja's style of drawing. So fun fact, like, some fun lore, some fun erotica lore. I actually learned about Dreamalgia's work after watching Pondersprocket's videos about their whole stupid drama thing. And after seeing their art and, like, having, like, Ponder kind of introduce the audience to the yami kawaii style, I was just instantly enamored with it. So this was a very important moment in my artistic career, actually, because it's when I first tried to make something kind of like my current work. Obviously, this one turned out very subpar with bad anatomy, a sort of odd pose, and gross shading, and unappealing colors, but it still holds a place in my heart for being the first time I tried to draw yummy kawaii art. Anime Rion. I will not elaborate further on this cursed ancient relic. Oh damn, this one is also a classic. I really like how I drew her legs, but like from her waist and above, I have some issues with it anatomically and pose-wise. Everything besides the leg looks so stiff. Everything besides the legs looks so stiff. Aside from that though, the fit goes pretty hard here. Would wear if I was cis. Okay, so this is my most special art of Alistair. It looks great, like, even to this day. I see some mistakes and some things I would change, of course, but when I drew this in November of 2021, it was my most prized piece, and one that I was really proud of. Too bad I'm a has-been disenjoyer these days, or I might have been more nostalgic about this one. Damn, I drew Rion with cake, though. I like the vibes of this one, though the shading is a bit and the line art could be better. Now that I'm staring at it, I'm acutely aware that the right side needs a hefty crop because the art and the lighter box in the background are not centered, and the more that I look at it, the more that I hate it and am angry, so we must move on. Oh, okay, so this is the J-pop singer Daoko in her outfit that she wore in the music video for Onaji Yoru. I could certainly do better now in capturing her vibes, mostly in her appearance, but I actually still kind of like the lighting from this one. It's not perfect, no, and I could do better now, but I appreciate that I attempted to capture the ethereal energy that video has. Actually though, homework task for you audience members, go listen to Onaji Yoru and watch the video. It's an experience, let me tell you. Also, the song slaps. And if you like it, then you should also listen to Suisei. Oh yes, Lost Kin! I know I used this as a speed paint in a video, though I forget which one, but this means a lot to me because it's actually the first Hollow Knight fan art I ever drew. I actually drew it, I believe, because I was stuck on fighting them, since, like, their dream boss fight is a bit difficult on the first try, and I really liked how cute and forlorn that they look at the same time. I kind of captured that. Crazy to see where I started in drawing these characters in comparison to how I portray them in current day. Speaking of old Hollow Knight art that predates my current designs for my AU, this doodle page! Oh my god, the way that I drew Auric and Vesla before I designed them and named them for my AU has me quaking! Speaking of which, if you in the audience are one of the 2 people that follows my Hollow Knight content, which is, you know, separate from my channel stuff, then note that some new redesigns are coming for a lot of the characters, like, ooh, pay attention for that one. Vesla and Hollow are getting their formal glow-ups soon. Actually, side note, please tell me in the comments if anyone here follows my Hollow Knight ship, because that would actually be cool if I had some audience members that were interested. I need an excuse to ramble about it in streams, baby grills. Anyways, this is actually a very special piece for, like, another reason. That being the fact that this is the first ever drawing I made that features, like, my current shading style. And I am so glad that I decided to take a chance with it and shade the way that I did in this piece, because it's the way that it turned out, like, you know, even though it's not perfect, it's the way that it turned out, and it's what inspired me to continue on shading this way, so, you know, like, obviously this picture could be better, but it marks a lot of firsts for me, and I appreciate it for that. We big preach on that one. And there you have it. That was all my digital art that's, you know, pretty old, and this also marks the end of this series for at least until I can acquire a camera and make a sketchbook tour or 2. I honestly had a lot of fun making these videos, and I hope you get a kick out of watching them, and maybe some inspiration as well, perhaps? I don't know, I actually like watching sketchbook tours and old art videos for inspiration sometimes. Again, as I said at the beginning of the video, the purpose of this series is not to put anyone else or their work down. It's just to make some jokes at my own expense for funsies, and also to show how far I've come as an artist since I made all of this stuff. So if you're out there and looking to improve, I'm rooting for you, and don't take any negative comments I made in this video too seriously if they apply to your own art, I guess. After all, art is very subjective, and maybe a stylistic thing that I don't like is something that you do like. So, you know, subjective. With all of that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe if you feel inclined to do so. You can follow the link to my card in the description if you're interested in following me on other platforms and seeing some of my artwork. Thank you all for watching, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will now bid you all adieu.